Good morning and welcome to Ellon Academy's virtual assembly. This is the second in my Shout Out About series, and last week we considered sexism and what that means in schools, and this week we're going to look at neurodiversity. You'll see on the screen there that on your right there is the Neurodiversity UK logo, and the one to the left with the rainbow colours is the standard logo for neurodiversity, and I'll explain to you what that means. So neurodiversity refers to how different brains learn differently. It describes the highly diverse ways in which students learn, think and process information. So that term neurodiversity was first used in 1998. It was used to describe the phenomenon of neurological diversity, including things like brain structures, brain connections, and brain functions. That is a feature of all humans. Humanity is neurodiverse. Each and every one of us has a different brain. Each person differs individually from the next. And neurodiversity means that there is a wide variation in brain process between individuals. Sometimes these variations are substantial enough to give rise to more categorical differences corresponding to diagnostic labels such as autism and ADHD, which is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So what is neurodiversity? We already know that it's where we all have different brains and we think and learn and process information differently. The neuro part of the word neurodiversity relates to nerves and the nervous system. The diversity part of the word is the state of being diverse, and diverse means different. And the diverse part of the world shows a greater deal of variety and being very different. So over on the left, you can see those figures, and we've got Pat there, and Pat's brain is yellow. And then you've got a range of other people round about Pat, 5 other people. These are Pat's friends. They all have brains too. No two brains are exactly alike, and this is neurodiversity. And you can see each individual has a different colour to represent the differences in the individual's brains. Some people's brains are similar enough that they behave in ways that are characterised and labelled. Some of these labels are typical, so you get people that are neurotypical, you get schizophrenic, bipolar, autistic and epileptic. These are just some labels. All of these labels, except typical, indicate neurodivergence. That is a deviation from brains from society's expectation of normality. So most people would be neurotypical, but if there are differences, they would then be described as neurodivergent. But not all neurodivergence is diagnosed or even diagnosable. That means that not all people who are perceived as neurotypical are in fact so. Neurodivergence is neither good nor bad. A person can be born with it, can acquire it. It is up to each neurodivergent individual to decide what help they desire. So Pat and his friends over here are comfortable with their individual divergences and their diversity as a group. They're all different, just like we are with our friends. They support each other's rights to self-determination, and they value the strengths that each bring to the group of friends. And it's just like us, we're all different in our own right. So here are some of the common neurodiverse conditions. So dyscalculia is difficulties with calculation and number concepts. Dyspraxia is difficult with planning movements, coordination, practical tasks, balance and poor spatial awareness. And dyslexia can be difficulty with reading, writing, spelling and phonological processing of what you hear and how if you can write that down, write down what you hear. Autism spectrum disorder, or ASD, and Asperger's syndrome can be difficulties with social relationships, communication, social imagination, and flexible thinking. And ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, is difficulties with attention, keeping your concentration. So those are just examples, but people with these difficulties can also be very intellectually gifted. So that's really important for everyone to know. So equally, some instances of neurodivergence become identified as behaviours, and most commonly, learners with ADHD are mistakenly thought to be acting in certain ways deliberately, and this can lead to unfair disciplinary actions and even to exclusion, and that's something that teaching staff are very aware of. So again, lots of different conditions there, just a wider range of conditions that would be part of the neurodiversity umbrella. Things like specific learning difficulties, anxiety, auditory processing, being gifted and being very, very bright and intelligent, Tourette's syndrome, which affects speech and language, and suffering trauma, just to name a few. So this is a really, really important diagram, and I never get tired of looking at it because it really explains the difference between equality and equity. Because for neurodivergent young people in school, we need to make sure that they have the correct and the right levels of support to help them progress in their learning. So if you look at the first image, it's assumed that everyone will benefit from the same support and they are being treated equally. But as you can see, the three boys there are looking over the fence to try and see, looks like a baseball game, that their blocks that they're standing on don't really make a difference to seeing, apart from this guy who would need more blocks there so he can actually see over. So that's not equality. Well, that's equality, but it's not good enough for all learners. So in the second image, individuals are given different supports to make it possible for them to have equal access to the game, but they're being treated equitably. So there you are, all of them can see over the fence and only two of them need additional support to help them see over the fence. So one lad needs one box and the other lad needs two, and that's the same with learning. Some of us need more help than others. In the third image, all three of the boys can see the game without any support or accommodations because the cause of the inequity was addressed. The barrier has been removed. So that is our ultimate aim for learners, that we take away any barriers that make it difficult for you to learn, and we give you the right level of support for your ability. So finally, neurodiversity is about celebrating everyone's unique abilities. Every achievement, no matter how small, is one step closer to becoming who you really are. And it's absolutely not about comparing yourself to others. It's about being proud of what makes you unique. Remember that neurodiversity encompasses everyone, and the real power of the concept, and this is the real power of the concept of neurodiversity and the key way that it differs from some other language around classroom inclusion. Neurodiversity encourages us as teachers to provide accessible and inclusive education to the whole class, not just selected individuals who may also need additional support. And we need to approach each learner on their own terms, regardless of any labels or neurodiversity that they might experience in their lives. So I hope this has helped you understand a little bit more about what neurodiversity is, and we need to be proud of what makes us different. Thank you.